Howdy, boys and girls, and welcome back. It is week 12 of your American college football season here in America, and that means it's also week 12 of the Carla and Crappy Show. You will notice that we're joined by a third person today.
That's right.
AJ, there he is. AJ,
hi.
Say hi.
It's me. Hi.
AJ is joining us live this week, and we'll explain in a second why. First, we got to say hi to Carla. Hi, Carla.
Hello.
How you guys
Greetings from a freezing Nashville.
We're supposed to get.
It was snowing on campus today.
Nice.
It was 34 and windy.
The streets and people crashing into walls and stuff.
It took me like an hour and a half to get home. So okay. I mean, you know, and like it's still 30. Like it's fine. It's not sticking. It was just a couple flakes in the air. And everybody slammed on their brakes in 24 on the way back, and it was
Says the person from Mary's like, what's the matter with you people?
Right. It's ready to come back to Pennsylvania next week.
Yeah. We'll get you back in practice because I guess it crap ton of snow in Erie last weekend. So it'll be good. We have AJ with us today because rather than doing our standard thing when this week inevitably rolls around, and it has rolled around. Alabama's playing Citadel. Ohio State is at Maryland. Michigan, your number 4 Michigan Wolverines have a game against Indiana. So we've come to this week has come to be known as Cupcake Week or Baked Good Weeks. AJ, what do you have there?
I have a microwave mug cake and a hand whipped buttercream because my 3-year-old and my 3-year-old prop manager failed me. So this is what we have.
That still works out pretty well.
Yeah, I listen. It's a Great British Bake Off in my kitchen at all times.
Okay. And then Carla. I mean, I love Publix. I think Publix would be like number 2 behind Wegmans on my list of grocery stores.
Exactly. That's one nice thing about living in the South is that I have a Publix just down the street. So this is a Publix cupcake vanilla with cream cheese frosting and sprinkles.
Sprinkles.
Quick sidebar. What's your top 3 grocery stores then? You got Wegmans, then Publix, then what?
I'm not sure that I thought that out that far.
Okay. That's
Whole Foods could be. It's pricey. Okay. And that would be a dumb thing for me to say because I don't actually shop there all that much.
I would put Sprouts on mine, but you guys don't have those up north.
I don't know what Sprouts is.
No.
Sprouts is like a cheaper version of Whole Foods.
Okay. I mean, Aldi would be up there.
Aldi's pretty great. I'd probably go if I had to go like super great grocery stores. Like we're going to Aldi on a regular basis because it's just the economical thing to do.
Sure.
I got to go Wegmans 1, Publix 2, Harris Teeter 3.
I've never been inside a Harris Teeter, so I don't know.
Harris Teeter is wonderful.
We walked our Harris Teeter, so but we shop there all the time.
Someone misplaced it, or what happened?
It closed.
They closed. Because Sprouts probably ruined them.
No, Sprouts came in after. So the Harris Teeter's been gone for like 2 years. We just got our Sprouts, and Sprouts is fantastic for like fresh produce and it's great. Kind of like a Fresh Market. Do you have those?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, we got a Fresh Market.
Not like super close by, but yeah, we do.
Same kind of concept. So Trader Joe's on the list too. Trader Joe's has some good stuff.
They do, and we're kind of dabbling in that a little bit more than we used to, but that I wouldn't put them quite yet in my top 3, but. Yeah, those are good choices. So we have AJ on. Rather than talk about the cupcake games, AJ, as you guys recall, has sort of shifted focus a little bit to our group of 5 friends. You'll notice that I'm wearing my OU jersey. A game that we're not going to talk about because it happens on Wednesday. My Bobcats have a chance to knock off the MAC East leading Buffalo Bulls on Wednesday night. So by the time this is posted, you guys can tell me whether or not I'm sad about this or not.
I'm just gonna I'll throw this out there. I know that we're not going to talk about this game tonight, but if you are a fan of super athletic quarterbacks, you should watch Buffalo play because Tyree Jackson is incredible.
He is. And, whether or not that's this week or next week or MAC title game, bowl game.
They're making a bowl game this year. They're 9-1.
They will.
So regardless of the result of their next 2 games, they're in a bowl game. You should watch Buffalo. Highly recommend that. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it because that game happens to. We're recording on Tuesday, so this is happening tomorrow, and this will not be. This will be out after that. So tweet Crappy and say, hey, he's at Uncle Crappy, and go to tweet our friend Crappy and tell him that you're really proud of the OU Bobcats.
You should be.
That's it. Because you could just be proud of them. It doesn't necessarily mean they won or they lost, but that you're proud of them.
I appreciate that. And Buffalo's a legit good football team. They've been fun to watch. So we're gonna take you through some AAC games. I think a Fun Belt game, a Mountain West game. And trust me, guys, these are not top 25 teams, but there is good stuff to watch this weekend. And we're going to get to this in just a second. Before we do, just one thing, AJ, you have not been on live with us. Is there just one thing that you had from a week ago in college football?
Yeah, I alluded to it last week. I will continue this now. The Pac-12 is Washington State and an unmitigated disaster. The Pac-12 South. I'm not kidding about this. The Pac-12 South. Every single team has at least 3 conference losses. Utah is 5-3 in conference, and they are in the lead.
I'm not sure how that's even mathematically possible.
Oh no, it's totally possible. You just have 3 losses, and everybody else has 4 losses. That's how this works. So. If you so Utah, I believe, plays Arizona or Arizona State this week. They play one of the Arizona schools. If they lose, the Territory Cup next week might be for the Pac-12 South and the chance to play Washington State or maybe Washington, because the Apple Cup is next week, and Washington and Washington State lead the division. So the Pac-12 is a mess. They are not getting a playoff team. So we could just kind of move on from the Pac-12 in terms of what they're capable of doing. But that's my one thing from last week. The Pac-12. Okay. The Pac-12 is a mess. It's a beautiful mess to watch, but it's a mess.
Carla, what do you think?
So I could go a lot of different places, but the thing that kind of stuck with me from last week was the nightcap that I watched with that Oklahoma defense, or lack thereof is probably a better.
I was about to say, huh?
Time out. As the person who normally watches the Super Late games, the Oklahoma game was a nightcap. That was the 3:30 game, wasn't it?
No, it was definitely in the evening.
I mean, it was dark, but it's also winter. So.
No, it was like a 7 o'clock game.
All right.
Which for me is a nightcap because I'm old. You know this. We went to school together. You know I'm old.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do know this.
so the Oklahoma defense doesn't exist. And it's the same thing we talked about with Oklahoma last year when they made the playoff. It was one of these things is not like the other, and it was the fact that Oklahoma didn't have a defense. And nothing has been fixed. I mean, maybe we thought maybe firing Mike Stoops might light a fire in that defense. Yeah, no, not really. So that was kind of my thing, is that if Oklahoma somehow finds a way to win the Big 12, and right now, if you look at it, they probably should. They're not going to rise above 6. I think even if Georgia loses to Alabama, I would still have Georgia ranked above Oklahoma at this point. Come on, West Virginia. Yeah. I mean, West Virginia's got at least a marginally better defense. I think they would have a shot of, if they win the Big 12. And thanks Big 12 for giving us potentially back-to-back weeks of Oklahoma, West Virginia. Like every game matters. And we only get 2 games in a row. Same 2 teams. The Pac-12 is definitely the number 1 mess. The Big 12 is probably the second biggest mess, and it's silly fun too. So, but if you like defense, don't watch the Big 12.
I'll throw this out there. Oklahoma State also has a really good offense, and the only time they've ever really been slowed down is when a really, really good defense stands up to them. Kansas State held them to 12. True. I'm not going to say that they're a really good defense, but Texas Tech held them to 17. I'm
not sure what happened there.
I'm sorry. That was in Stillwater too. I was going to say if it was it was in Stillwater. If it was in Lubbock, I could have said they went to the moon, and that's what happened. But in terms of how this really works, though, I think Oklahoma State just they just score a ton of points, and Oklahoma seems to be a team that is completely okay with just you want to score points? We can score points too. Who can score more? Let's go! Yay! Let's play. And then they just give up on playing defense to just try and give the ball back to their offense to just outscore you. Mm-hmm. And as they showed last year against Georgia, they're capable of doing that against pretty much anybody. So I don't necessarily know that the defense is a problem. I mean, it is. If they play Alabama and Alabama shuts down their offense, it's over. But those are the sorts of things. I don't necessarily think that Oklahoma cares about defense, and they finally had a reason to get rid of Mike Stoops. But I think that they have some opportunities to get better there. Also, shout out to you, Mike Gundy, for going for 2 in the win and not giving a listen. I had a whole lot of what are you doing? Just go to overtime. And then I went, oh, no. Actually, don't do that because you're going to play 12 overtimes because you two are just going to score touchdown after touchdown. It's going to go for another 2 hours. So he tried to end it, and it didn't work. And you know what? Mike Gundy is the best. And also, shout out to him for his press conference where he said, oh, no. That was my call. I don't give a hoot nanny, but not hoot nanny about what anybody thinks about that. Good job, Mike Gundy. I love you.
My one thing is I feel a little better. And a tailback with 102 yards against the best rushing defense in the country will do that. And defense will do that too. I'm not cured, and I'm not sure that my predictions, other than the one about Ohio State losing last weekend, I think those are still in place. But
shout out to Ohio State for playing Michigan State's game and winning.
Yes.
Because that was your punter,
dude. Game ball. I mean, absolute
game ball for the punter.
MVP of the game. There is, I want to go make myself shirts to say the punt is the most important play of football because you saw it. You absolutely saw it then.
That was you guys went full Iowa. Good job. Never go full Iowa,
I guess. We are almost to our group of 5 fun. We have one thing that we've started a little bit earlier in the season, and we're going to continue it because the next weeks are sort of interesting. Oh God, won't somebody please beat Notre Dame? Number 12 Syracuse is in South Bend this weekend, although Notre Dame is still favored by 10. Carla, it's going to happen this week.
Actually, it could, and here's why: because this game is actually in Yankee Stadium.
It is.
It's their natural home.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
It is. And so the game is in Yankee Stadium, so now we have to pray to the God of the Yankees to help.
I know. I can't. No, I'm not doing that.
Well, everybody hates the Yankees, so maybe there's something there.
Maybe.
But okay, so the big question, and it's not really a question because Brian Kelly seems to have solved that already this week, is that Ian Book is supposed to start this week. That was my big question mark. If anything changes and Ian Book doesn't start, then I give Syracuse a much better shot at this. The problem is that the Syracuse defense is just not good at all. I mean, they're giving up 430 yards per game, which is not good against a Notre Dame offense that doesn't really need their defense is so good they don't need a lot on offense because we've said that all year that their offense is just but their defense is really good, and so that's what's kept them winning games. So this might be because the only other game left on Notre Dame's schedule is USC, and I've got to give Syracuse better props than USC at potentially beating Notre Dame. So
that feels good.
This week we are all orange.
Okay. AJ, can it happen?
No, it's not going to happen. Notre Dame's going undefeated. They're going to the playoff. Now, can I hold on? No, I'm going to put this on the table. Mike, listen to me. Yeah, listen to me. I want you to both listen to me. Mike, we're good friends.
Yes.
We're good neighbors.
Yes.
I need you to understand this. If you want Notre Dame to lose, you need to root for Michigan against Ohio State. That sounds weird. Follow me, though. Michigan beats Ohio State. They get the 3 seed. Notre Dame gets the 4 seed. And then congratulations, Notre Dame. You're first up in the vaporizer. And Alabama turns them into space dust.
As
Do you want somebody to beat Alabama? You want somebody to beat Notre Dame? Here's Alabama. They're more than happy to.
Oh yeah, we've discussed this on the show earlier this season. My college football brain is like this. The rational portion of my college football brain is about like this. So this made you guys look by the way. So if
it was about the waist.
It did. I don't know where it came from. So yeah, I get that. I am saying not this weekend. I am saying I'm really thinking there's an upset coming next weekend.
You think?
You have
and it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
But the person who's watched you play football this year.
I get it. I get it completely. But I'm thinking next weekend. Maybe next weekend. We'll see.
This is happening. They're going to the playoff. Listen, if you put that into the universe, then Notre Dame will fail you. That's how this goes.
Oh, this is difficult. We have to get to the actual games that we're going to talk about. In the AAC, that would be the American Athletic Conference. This is actually like a de facto playoff weekend for them.
Sure is.
As AJ mentioned in the notes, the top 4 teams in each division are playing each other. We're not going to talk about Tulane and Houston because it's on Friday, or excuse me, it's on Thursday night, and we generally get this posted on Friday. So we're going to start, but again, hope you guys watch that one because it's that promises to be fun. We're going to start on Friday. Memphis at SMU. Memphis is favored by 8.5 points. Worth mentioning here that the over/under is 72.5, which, as I mentioned with Bedlam last week, that feels maybe a little light. Maybe. AJ, I mean,
yes, sir.
Dude, this is your gig. Go. What do you think?
It sure is. Memphis and SMU. I think Memphis came into the year carrying a lot of expectation to compete for at least the top 2 spot, chase Houston in the AAC West. SMU has quietly built themselves back into a program. Even though they're only 5-5, they're 4-2 in conference and lead the division. They are a very good team. They have no defense. They're basically winning every game really, really close. But they're just in front of Houston, and they just beat them. I'm interested to see where SMU kind of dials up some offense. So Chad Morris was their coach last year. He's basically built that program back from nothing. They were going 1-11, 2-10 before he got there. Now they're to 5-5, but they're competing for the division crown, which is a commendable thing. Right now, Sonny Dykes, you might remember him as the former Cal coach. Sonny Dykes is their coach. Sonny is a Texas guy. He's made a ton of – he basically kept the Chad Morris train going, right? Sonny Dykes is well-connected in Texas. And so he's driving kids up to SMU, and that's great for the conference. There's a lot of talent in the state of Texas, obviously. So having teams like SMU and Houston and Tulsa kind of drive recruiting in those areas has been really good. That said, Memphis is the more talented team. Their defense is better. Their offense plays a little bit more consistently. I like Memphis in this game. This game is at SMU, I believe. So I think Memphis goes down to Fort Worth and gets a win.
Okay, Carla, what do you think?
I have a lot of friends and colleagues from my nonprofit work that went to SMU. So for their sake, I have to say, go Ponies. Okay. That being said, I'm on board with what AJ just said. Okay. Memphis overall, number 2 scoring defense in the conference, number 3 total offense in the conference. Their defense ranks a smidge higher than SMU's. A little bit. And SMU, and what did it for me was that, what you just said, AJ, about, giving up a ton of yards. SMU gives up 40 more yards per game than it gains. That's not a recipe for winning all that often. Although I will say SMU will be fired up They win this game, they're bowl eligible. And when was the last time SMU was in a bowl game? So there is going to be a little bit of motivation there for that, and obviously playing for a chance to go play in a conference title game. But Memphis is the better team. Memphis is the call here.
Okay.
Take the over.
Yeah, number one, take the over. Because there's no defense on this field. If you're a fan of that, if you're a Midwestern football fan like me, this is going to give you chest pains watching this game because there will be no defense. Memphis's offense outpaces the Mustang points per game, passing yards, although that one's close, rushing yards. Put an actually really solidly balanced offense on the field, and that's going to be a difference here. So the Tigers win this one. Next up, we have Cincinnati at UCF. UCF is favored by 7. And good Lord, this is ABC's primetime national game on Saturday.
That's right. It's Group of 5 week, baby. Game day
ABC,
might be in the Bronx.
ABC even agrees with you.
Yeah, they're going down. They're going to go down to Orlando, and they're going to watch Cincinnati and UCF. UCF is undefeated. Cincinnati is 9-1. They might have potential future Ohio State head coach Luke Fickell coaching right now, and former Ohio State head coach,
right?
And future Ohio State head coach Luke Fickell. They're wildly ahead of schedule right now. They recruited extremely well this year. They out-recruited UCF and Houston this year. They extremely well. They took care of a lot of teams that I don't necessarily think anybody really saw coming. They are 5-1 in the conference. They're 9-1 overall. They have a stout defense, and they're putting up points. They've held in conference. They have the top scoring defense in the conference. They've held their entire conference slate to 95 total points. So this is an opportunity for Cincinnati to kind of surprise everybody and say, hey, look, we can play football in Cincinnati again. This is really good. This is UCF's probably toughest test since the Temple game. Temple's kind of surprised everybody by going toe-to-toe with UCF. If UCF wants to continue on and really solidify themselves, having Cincinnati, beating Cincinnati at home on national television will go a long way. Also, just in case you're wondering why the playoff rankings rank 25 teams, they might have stuck Cincinnati at 24 for, I don't know, ranking reasons to show on national television. Just throwing it out there, just putting that out there. Cincinnati's Cincinnati's number 24, UCF is number 11. These are ranked teams. Group of 5 teams can be ranked. I know that it's difficult to consider that, but it is. It's true. They can be ranked.
Carla, what do you think?
So I was in Florida last year for the war on I-4, and watching that game on TV, and it was absolutely insane. I mean, that was probably one of the best college football games of the year. I think this has the potential to be that kind of stupid fun game. I think they're going to be fired up about having game day there. It's a huge game. I don't have a lot to offer statistically other than, what AJ's already said. UCF has overall the better offensive numbers, but Cincinnati is the top scoring defense in the conference. UCF gives up a ton of yards on defense. And so, for everybody saying that, UCF is just going to outscore them, I think Cincinnati can keep up because of how lackadaisical they are on defense. That would be a fun game to watch in UCF and Memphis. That would be a silly fun game. Anyhow, why I'm picking UCF to win this game comes down to one reason only, and that is Mackenzie Milton. And Mackenzie Milton last year should have gotten an invite to New York. He put up stupid, silly numbers. No way was he ever going to win the Heisman, but invite the kid to New York. He had one of those, ridiculous seasons. He's not on that same pace this year, but he is a senior. And he hails from the great state of Hawaii. And if you watch the NFL this weekend, everybody in Nashville right now is really, really happy with quarterbacks that hail from the state of Hawaii. And so because of that, hey, I'm not a Titan fan. I am really happy with a quarterback from the state of Hawaii.
Totally fair.
Thank you, Marcus Mariota, for making the AFC much more fun. And so because of that, I think UCF still has a chip on its shoulder from not being invited to the playoff last year. I think they're going to go out and make a statement on national television this weekend and beat Cincinnati.
Okay. The thing that I look at UCF's defensive numbers are, I think it's fair to say, awful.
Yeah.
And that's not really the team that got the attention and won the national the mythical national championship a year ago. I still love seeing UCF national champion flags on game day, and I look forward to a bunch of them this week.
Yes.
But that's a different club. That is a whole different thing than what was going on a year ago. Luke Fickell was a defensive tackle at Ohio State. He is a defensive guy. One might even say that Ohio State's defense took a step backward when Coach Fickell left Ohio State as a co-defensive coordinator to be the head guy at UC. The Bearcats they're giving up 14.7 points a game through the whole season. That's it. And I think that's with a good balanced offense on the other side. That defense slows down the Knights, even at home. And I'm picking Luke Fickell to win this game for the entire state of Ohio.
The other thing that I can throw in here is having covered the NCAA tournament the year that both Ohio and Cincinnati played in the regional here in Nashville.
Yes.
The University of Cincinnati has some of the loudest, most obnoxious fans of any university that I have ever been around. I will never forget the ringing of the UC cheer. Lives in my head.
We actually, my folks came down from Columbus the year that Pitt hosted UC to the, I think that was a Big East title, in Heinz Field, and we had a similar experience. We were all. I was cheering loudly for Pitt in that game actually. And we were all sort of anti-UC for that one.
If I recall, that was that the Tim Tebow beats Alabama day too?
Might have been.
Yeah, I was on a plane to Birmingham because things had gone wrong at work, and I had to wake up an Alabama fan. Or no, that was the year that Bama beat Florida. That's right, because I had to wake up an Alabama fan who had been sleeping under his desk because he had been working for 96 hours, and that gave him the great news that Tim Tebow had lost to Alabama. Roll Tide. But we're not talking about Alabama because it's a group of 5 games. Yes. Also, just if we're talking
Alabama's
about
playing the Citadel, we don't need to.
Yeah.
Really,
if we're talking about this. Right. Just throwing this out there, Bill Connolly's S&P Plus has Cincinnati's defense ranked just ahead of Auburn and Iowa. Okay. Just putting that out there in terms of defense. UCF's defense is where'd they go? They are in range of Wyoming, Duke, and Tulane. Okay. So in case you're wondering what those sorts of things are doing,
this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. We have one more directional Florida and one more AAC game. USF at Temple up in Philly, Temple is favored by 14. AJ, what do you think?
Charlie, what happened? UCF or USF fell off a cliff sometime in October. They were doing really well. And like in the last month, their entire team has fallen off the map. 3 straight losses. Temple is looking strong. They went toe-to-toe with UCF and came within a possession of winning that game. I really hope the USF can right the ship here and get a good win heading into next week's war on I-4. I don't see it happening. Temple's going to win this game. They're at home. That's a noon game. So I think that there's an opportunity here for USF to potentially make a good showing and kind of win back the graces of the fans by beating a very good Temple team. I don't think anybody, because Temple's not ranked, I don't think that anybody's going to feel great about beating Temple because of their history, but USF needs to right the ship. They've had 3 straight losses. They need to get a win here and have some momentum going into the game against UCF next week. Okay.
Carla, what you got?
Well, about the whole Charlie Strong thing, I happen to know a bunch of people who live 3 hours east of here that can tell you exactly what it's like to live under a Charlie Strong team. So here's the big thing for me. I agree. Temple's defense is pretty darn good. USF needs to right the ship. This game is being played in Philadelphia. You know what? It's cold there.
It's going to be a freaking mess there this weekend, actually.
And last week was the first time that USF had played in a game that was sub 40 degrees in 5 years. This is 2 weeks in a row that they're going to be playing sub 40 degrees. And if Blake Barnett can't go, because we still don't know his status for sure, it's going to be 4 losses in a row for the Bulls. I'm sorry. I think Temple wins this game.
Yep. You guys both mentioned this. You look at recent records. Temple 2-1 in the last 3 games, including a win over UC, USF 0, and I feel like Dean Warmer 0.0. Temple wins this game. Temple is the pick here. We move to the Sun Belt Fun Belt on Sunday afternoon. Louisiana Monroe at Arkansas State. Arkansas State is favored by 8 points. AJ, what do you have?
ULM leads the division. This is where we start to get into crunch time, trying to get division things put together. ULM is in the lead. Arkansas State has looked moderately okay this year. They've had games where they look really, really great. They've had games where they look like a mess. And ULM it goes into Jonesboro to try and figure out how to keep their division title going. I think Arkansas State is the better team. I really hope that Monroe can kind of put some things together and make this a fun one. It's Saturday at 3 p.m. By the way, if you lay these out, we're going to talk about a Mountain West game coming up. USF Temple is at noon. This game is at 3. Cincinnati UCF is at 8, and then the Mountain West game is at 10:30. If you're on the East Coast, it's Group of 5 day. Just relax and let the Fun Belt wash over you. But here's the thing: both teams are fine. Mm-hmm. And they're perfectly fine teams. The problem is that in the other division, your choices are Troy or App State, both of whom are really good and are going to riggedy wreck you in the championship game. So I hope for fun. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pick ULM. I think Arkansas State's the better team. I think ULM goes and gets the upset, which sets up Monroe versus Lafayette. Mm-hmm. ULM versus ULL for the division title and the chance to go play Troy versus App State. Let's go Louisiana. Let's go fun.
Robert Morris dorm.
Yes.
Monroe Lafayette. Come on.
Monroe Lafayette. Quiet dorm versus loud dorm. That is a specific reference. If you're from Robert Morris, you listen to this podcast right now. Shout to Adam, shout to Marshall, shout to Monroe and Madison. What's up?
Absolutely. Cheers.
I have no idea what's going on right now.
We're just running through presidents named after places where college students sleep now.
Carla, do you have thoughts about something other than dorms at Robert Morris University?
The dorms that I used to live in. Yeah, my only thought is that, Arkansas State, top offense in the conference, number 1 passing offense in the conference, going up against Louisiana Monroe, who has the last ranked pass defense in the conference. Yeah, Red Wolves.
Okay. I came across this guy. His name is Justice Hansen. He is from Oklahoma. He is the starting quarterback for your Arkansas State. I don't remember what their mascot is.
They're Red Wolves.
The Red Wolves. Yes, thank you. Baby. He on the season, he's completing 65% of his passes, 22 touchdowns, just 6 picks. In November, Jim Truscott would love this guy. In November, his completion percentage has shot up to 77%. He's hit 7 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks. That is a snapshot of an improving offense, and that is why I'm picking Arkansas State in this game. We have one more. A de facto division championship game in the Mountain West. I want to see that on the T-shirt. Mountain West.
No, you need to get it on the T-shirt. You also need to have Mountain West Mountain, because that's the other division. They don't have. Okay. It's the only time that anybody has actually beat the Big Ten's leaders and legends in terms of naming their conference.
If only the Big Ten had followed my suggestion and gone with the pork and beef divisions, I would. We have Fresno State at San Diego State. Fresno is favored by 14.5. AJ?
Let that Mountain West wash over your body.
Yeah, no question.
Fresno State is possibly the best group of 5 team in the country.
Okay.
Sadly, they goofed and they lost to Boise last week on the blue turf. Had you listened to this week's show, had you listened to this show last week, somebody would have told you that. I'm just saying.
I have a distinct memory of hearing that was a possibility.
That is a possibility that Boise will beat you on the blue turf. Somebody went into Boise at night and tried to come out with a win. Nobody does that. You don't go into Treasure Valley like that.
That's a tough thing.
So Fresno State and San Diego State have prided themselves on defense. Crappy, just real quick. How many points do you think Fresno has given up in conference?
You mean like total?
Total.
Oh, God, I would have no idea what the number is. Okay. Except you included them in the notes that you sent us.
I did. Carla, how many points do you think Fresno has given up in conference?
In conference, like 78, 79, something like that?
The answer is 60. They've given up 60 points in conference this year. They are holding you down and beating you up. And by the way, 24 of those were to Boise last week.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were doing a lot before that.
Right.
San Diego State's not exactly not exactly bad either. San Diego State has given up 94 all year. Alabama has given up 92 in conference this year. So we're talking about very, very good defenses.
Yeah.
There's a lot of running the football. San Diego State does the thing that it does, where it is churn out running backs who run for 200 yards a game. Mm-hmm. They finally got their starting running back back to general health. And Lexington Thomas had 21 carries for 133 yards last week to beat UNLV. Fresno State put up a fight against Boise. This is going to be a fantastic game. Do you like Big Ten football? Stay up late and watch Western Big Ten football, because that's what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Stout defenses and running the football. There will not be any sort of throwing for 400 yards. There will not be any sort of trickery plays. This is 3 yards in a cloud of dust football to just tuck you into bed tonight. So, Crappy, stay up late and just go ahead, just put it on and just let the Mountain West, tuck you in and put you to bed that night.
Carla, what do you think? So
if there's a weakness here in the two really good defenses, is that San Diego State's pass defense is a little bit weaker than their top-rated rush defense. So there's the angle there for Fresno here is they're going to have to rely a little bit more on the pass to open up the run game for them. But here's the thing: San Diego State's coming off of that loss to UNLV. And how did they beat UNLV?
They beat UNLV. You're thinking of Fresno. Fresno lost to Boise. San Diego State beat UNLV last week.
They gave up a late 75-yard touchdown run, and UNLV won.
Did they?
Yes.
Did I goof that? Did I have that backwards?
And there were 3 minutes left in the game, and this really, really good top-rated rush defense gave up a 75-yard touchdown run with 3 minutes to play in the game.
Sounds like a defense that I watch a lot.
Right?
So there's another 30 points involved there. Sorry.
Yeah. So this top-rated rush defense is not impenetrable. You can run if you set it up properly. Boise beat Fresno with a mobile quarterback. Guess what? Ryan Agnew is not so mobile. So that all leads me to say that I think Fresno wins this game.
Okay. Here's the great thing that I'm looking forward to, and it's everything that you guys mentioned. It is defense, it is rushing, balanced offenses. I do love entertaining football. I do, I swear to God. But I take great pleasure in the fact that here's a Mountain West Conference game that is going to be my kind of football, and because I am working on Saturday night, I will be awake. And I'm really stoked about this. And no reason to go over everything that we've talked about before. I think that Fresno State is the correct pick here, but I'm excited to be able to see it. So that's going to be good. Boys and girls, you can watch the Carla and Crappy Show for the duration of the dwindling duration of the college football season by searching Carla and Crappy on YouTube and or Facebook. If you prefer to have Carla and Crappy in your earbuds, you'll find the podcast version at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn, as well as your favorite social channels, where the three of us tend to blab about it a lot. If you like the show, please rate and review. If you don't, mind your own damn business. AJ?
Yes.
I'm told you might have a thought about a Conference USA game this weekend.
That's correct.
Oh.
That is correct. So, guys, those zombies are real. And UAB is playing Texas A&M this week. UAB is 9-1.
Andrew Shockling's not going to hear the thing about the zombies. So that's going to
listen, Texas A&M,
yeah.
They've looked okay this year. They're a perfectly fine team.
Yeah.
UAB is a very good team, and Bear Bryant's kid tried to kill them, and they came back to life, and they're 9-1, and they're running around Kyle Field. Go watch that game. That's Saturday at 7. So, you can flip back and forth between that and Cincinnati UCF. Just keep an eye on that game.
Multiple screens, people. Multiple screens is the answer right here. Carla, I note that from your attire, you may also have a final thought about a Conference USA game.
Well, blue is my favorite color for a reason, and I am wearing my MTSU blue, my true blue, as the case may be, because the fine students at MTSU are traveling up I-65 to go to Lexington to face a UK team, a Kentucky team that we have to kind of wonder where their mentality is right now. This seems to happen with Kentucky teams where they were in there for the SEC East title, they lost to Georgia, and now the wheels are falling off because there's no reason that team should have lost in Knoxville last week. Just absolutely zero reason. Because Kentucky is a much better football team. You have an MTSU team that is going up there with a lot of momentum. They do this every year. MTSU knocks off a Big Five conference team almost every year. They have not done that yet this year. Kentucky.
It wasn't Vandy. We talked about that one.
It wasn't Vandy, and they almost and they hung with Vandy.
Right.
And Vandy and Kentucky was only a one-score game. My fear for MTSU, because I did it for SMU, I've got to do it for my Blue Raiders. They're giving up more yards than they're gaining. That's a problem when you're going up to Kentucky. I got to play fair here. And their offensive line is really, really struggling. But I think they can contain Benny Snell, and it depends on the mentality of where Kentucky is. Come on, Blue Raiders, true blue. We're pulling for you, kids.
Okay.
And shout out to my kids who are in my class, who are all in the MTSU band, who are boarding a bus at 3:30 in the morning on Saturday to go to Lexington, Kentucky and play that game.
Ouch, that's awesome. That's awesome. That they would do that. Guys, I have one cupcake game to watch, and I'm going to enjoy that. But what I would suggest is that you enjoy your cupcakes as you watch or listen to the Carla and Crappy Show.
Yes. We should do this more often.
And then watch and then get down with some a group of 5 games this weekend, because there's going to be some silly stuff happening, and it's going to be a lot of fun. AJ, thank you very much for the suggestion and for joining us this weekend.
Not a problem. Yeah, it's all right. Hold on, I gotta get. This is deep. I should have made it smaller.
But we got
cupcakes.
If you're not watching the video, you should.
Oh my God.
Good stuff. How's it? Crunchy icing. Did that work out okay?
AJ needs a drink.
Visuals.
I do, because it just went like in the middle of the cake is just a rock.
Oh, guys, if you're listening to this, take a second and just watch like the last 5 minutes. It's going to be worth it. AJ, thank you. Carla, and your Publix cupcake, which I'm sure is fine. Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks as always. Cheers for the cupcake.
Guys, skipping cupcakes. Watch some fun football this weekend, and we will see you back here next week. Have a good one.